Hi everyone, Lindsay here from Fresh Situation. I wanted to talk to you today about the summer slump and what effects it has and how we can try to minimise those or avoid it completely. So for those of you that don't know, the summer slump is the slowing down of our brain processes when we're learning because we have taken a time off. Taken a gap in our learning, and this usually happens when we finish school in July and we start again in September, and we've had those 6 weeks where we've had lots of fun, we've maybe had family outings, we have gone and done lots of water sports maybe if it's good weather, but we haven't really focused on our children's learning. And then when they come back to school or back to learning in September, we realise that those normal things that they were able to do are suddenly a little bit slower, or they might have forgotten how to do things. And if we were to test the skills that they knew in July, some of those skills would no longer be there, and some of them they would be a little slower than normal, or they would be making more mistakes. So this is a big problem for teachers specifically when we receive a class of students who have moved schools or who have gone up a grade level. So we say, yes, this student is competent at this level, and then actually when we meet them in September we think, really? Are you sure? And we have to do quite a lot of work to try and find out if it is just because of the slump, or is that their kind of normal working ability and someone has over-assessed or under-assessed their ability previously. So it's something that a lot of parents aren't really aware of until they receive the autumn term report, which might be lower than expected. And I've often seen this where a student is working at a particular grade, let's say they're at a level 5, and then in September they're still working at a level 5, or they might actually be working at a high level 4 instead. And this causes quite a lot of concern of, what are you doing wrong, or what's going wrong with their learning? And often it's just because we have to play a little bit of catch up. So that's quite normal. As a parent, there are lots of things that you can do to try and reduce this. We want their brains to be doing something academic on a regular basis. This might be as simple as reading aloud to you every day. For young children, we expect that they read aloud to their family or guardian, somebody who's looking after them. But for older children, we often think, well, they've learned to read by themselves now, so we'll leave them to it. When actually they're still needing help at this stage of their reading, because they may not recognise all of the words that they read, particularly if the book is at a higher level than they have read before. And they may not also be able to pronounce things correctly. I had somebody recently who couldn't pronounce fantastic. They had recognised the word and they knew that it meant something good, something really exciting, but they couldn't pronounce it. And it was something that when they were reading aloud with me in our lesson, I was able to pick up on and then help them to break it down into the phonetic sounds so that they're able to pronounce it correctly. And then they can go away and practice that. But if you're not doing that with your child, or nobody's doing it with your child, then it's very easy to let things slip, and suddenly an incorrect pronunciation becomes the normal, and it's much harder to fix at a later stage. So reading aloud is still really important, and you can pick something that interests the whole family. It might be something like you are cooking a meal together and you ask them to read from the cookbook for the measurements or for the step-by-step instructions. So it's part of the activity that you're doing anyway, but it's also checking that their literacy skills are still there and still active. So that's one way of helping. For numeracy skills, counting simple things is a great way to start. How many silver cars pass us in 5 minutes on the road? Great, if you're on a long car journey, there are lots of different things that you can pick to count. How many pairs of vehicles do you see? Can you read that number plate? What do the digits in that number plate add up to is one that I heard recently, which I thought was quite good. You have to be pretty quick also, because you have to be able to remember the digits on the number plate. And if you get it wrong, be prepared to be corrected by your child. Particularly if they've got a really quick brain, that's a good way to do it. If you are measuring something, so back to the cooking thing, if you're measuring something out, you could ask them, how would we double this recipe? So we're making cookies and we're adding 200 grams of chocolate, and if we're going to double it, how much chocolate would we need instead? Chocolate's usually a pretty good one to talk about or something that they're interested in, because it's going to keep their attention, and most people will be quite happy to think about doubling chocolate rations. For other things that you can do, there are lots of different worksheets and things that you can do that are much more school-based situation. So you could give them a 45 addition questions from the Math Salamander website, which you can generate a huge range of different free worksheets and print them off. But if you want something a little bit more casual, then you could do Sums in the Car. So one of my students, they have 20 questions of a quiz, and they keep score, and that does their car journey between particular places that they attend regularly. So what is 7 plus 5? And how is that different from 70 plus 50? And what if we have 130 take away 40? What does that equal? And then if we have 14 take away 3, would that equal the same thing, or would it be different, and how much bigger would it be? So these are called number bonds, and building a fact family for a series of numbers is a great way of doing it. So 7 plus 3 is equal to 10, but so is 3 plus 7. In an adult brain, most of us will think, oh, obviously, that's just normal. But for a child who is still learning, recognizing those number bonds as being the same thing is still a developing pathway. So we need to cement those pathways as much as possible. We can also add to that fact family by saying that 10 minus 7 will always equal 3, and 10 minus 3 will always equal 7. So there are always 4 sums for a set of 3 numbers that build a fact family. And you can start with really easy ones up to 10, or you can progress it a little by going up to 20 or up to 50. And if your student is doing much better, then you can do up to 100 or up to 1,000. So 300 plus 700 is always equal to 1,000. And 1,000 minus 700 is always 300. It's just an example. So number bonds are a great way of just checking that their maths is going well, and it's one of those things that we should be practicing all the time. And it's something that very often schools, if they send a summer leaflet home, it'll be one of the things that they ask you to recap, particularly in primary school, because those bonds are still developing. So mental maths and number bonds are really good. And the times tables. There was a very long period of time where everybody had to learn the times tables by rote, and everybody knew them. And then they decided, actually, we don't need the times tables as much, so we're going to teach them, but we don't expect children to know them off by heart. And later in life we discovered that really those times tables are quite important, and that we should know them off by heart. So they reintroduced them into school as you must know them. So learning the times tables in order is very important. So 1 3 is 3, 2 3s are 6, 3 3s are 9, working your way up, and usually they do them up to 10 or 12. So 12 3s are 36 would be your top one there. But it's also important to be able to do them out of order or to do them backwards. The more different directions that you do a series of things, the more the pattern is ingrained in your brain. So 12 3s are 36, 11 3s are 33, 10 3s are 30, working your way down. So it's something you could do on the walk to the shops, or when you're taking your pet for a walk, whether that's a dog, a cat, or one of my students walks their guinea pigs. So times tables while walking a guinea pig works very well. They don't have to walk very far before you get through the times tables, so that's not too bad because they've only got little legs. The other thing is that you can print off a times tables grid, or you can make your own, which is 10 by 10 or 12 by 12 square. and you have 1 to 10 and 1 to 10 across, or 1 to 12 if you're going up that far. And then 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 2 is 4, and you can work your way down, and you do each times tables down and each times tables across. And once the grid is fully completed, you're done. What is a great twist on this is to start at a different point in the grid each time. So I want you to start at 5 times 6 on the first day and go up from there. So you have 5 times 6, 5 times 7, 5 times 8, and you also have it going the other way. So 5 times 5, 5 times 4, 5 times 3, 5 times 2, and so on. And then working through the other times tables in each direction as well. So that really helps. For other reading skills that you can read road signs when you're driving. If you are waiting at the doctor's office, you might want to read one of the leaflets that they have sitting out. Make sure that you have a quick look at the leaflet and that it's appropriate for your child, so possibly don't pick the one about venereal diseases for your 8-year-old. You might want to pick something like, have you brushed your teeth today, instead. So make sure you're picking something that is suitable. Otherwise you might end up having some very awkward conversations about what is a venereal disease. So that's something to talk about. With an older child or a teenager, that might actually be a great way to start that conversation, depending on how confident you are about discussing it and whether you feel it's important. It does come up in sex ed classes, so that's fair enough. There are lots of different books that can also help you if you want to try to beat the slump completely or even improve on things. So some of the ones that I have talked about before are the comprehension books. Tale of Custard the Dragon was one you might have seen recently. There are also 10-minute workouts. And when you say to someone, that's only going to take 10 minutes, that seems easier than you have to do so many pages from the book. You're just going to do workout number 8 today. And each workout's only 10 minutes, so that's a reasonable amount of time to practice something, but it's not so much that they're going to feel like, oh goodness, I'm in school all day. For some people, they like to do one workout a day, other people like to do several in a day. That's up to you. So they have them for times tables, they have them for mental maths, they are also targeted for year groups. So I have a couple here. I've got Key Stage 2 English. This one happens to be targeted for year 4. And these weekly workouts include things like types of sentences. So here's Take the Sentences, which are commands. So a command is when you tell somebody to do something rather than asking. So bring a bottle of water would be a command, but please can you bring me a bottle of water would be a question. So it's recognizing the 4 different types of sentences there. But they also have some spellings, usually spellings that people are likely to make mistakes with. So the difference between ascend and ascend. One of them has an SC in it and the other is 2 separate words. This is a great way of checking grammar and punctuation and sentence structure. It's very much a language-based book. Otherwise the comprehension is more about understanding things. I've got times tables one here, which is quite nice. Some of my students like to time themselves on the quick fire. So there are 12 questions there. How quickly can you do 12 questions? So far the record is 57 seconds for an 8-year-old, so I think that's pretty good. They are a mixture of multiplication and division, and some of the pages are one particular times table. So this double page is all about the 4 times tables, whereas some of the others are a mixture. This one's between 5s and 2s. They also have puzzles. So you're still doing maths, but it's a little bit of a different way to do it. So we've got a code cracking puzzle here. You have to work out the sums and put them on the number line and then be able to figure out the letters that go with them to find out the word that is in the code. So it makes it a little bit more interesting. And again, each of these is only 10 minutes. So you could aim for 1 English and 1 times tables a day, and that would be 20 minutes, maybe half an hour by the time you've gone through them with your child, to keep their brain ticked up and ready for September. If you want maths in a little bit more detail, you've got the weekly workouts, which are specific for maths rather than just times tables, and they offer a range of different questions. So this workout here is all about numbers that divide by 8. There's some fraction addition here. There is a table that they have to read, which is something that a lot of younger students find tricky. There's also using a number line and remembering what numbers are bigger than others. And then there are some word problems, which is usually the problem that people have most issues with. So when it's written in words, it doesn't always apply to the math side of their brain, and they go, I don't understand that. So developing word problem skills, being able to read them and interpret that into a sum, is really important. So each of these workouts has a word problem question in it for one of the 6 or one of the 7 questions, which I think is really good. So those are just some of the options, and there are books for all subjects. So if your child has a particular interest in a topic, it might be worth investing in a book on that topic. What have I got? So these books here are pretty good for history. Romans in Britain, this one's aimed at years 3 to 4, and it has a nice timeline, usually telling you when each thing is happening in relation to now and in relation to each of the events in the book. There are lots of different diagrams and pieces of information, and this book comes along with an activity book which has some questions based on each double page spread. These books are £5 each, so they're not a lot of money, and for a child who particularly has an interest in Romans, then it might be great to work through this book during the summer. Or it could be a project that you do through the Halloween holidays or maybe the Easter term. So that's one for history. There are similar books for geography, and there are also similar books for sciences, French, Spanish, whatever subject you want to look for. You'll find these in places like W.H. Smith, Eason's, The Works, Amazon. Recently Aldi had a full range of these books in. So there are science, maths, English, French and Spanish from the ones that I saw, and they're aged for a particular group. And again, lots of nice diagrams, some clear pieces of information, and then a little quiz for them to try. So it's a great all-in-one book to top up knowledge or to prepare them for maybe a new school or a new grade. If you have decided that you want your child to have a complete break over summer, that's also completely fine. But you need to be prepared that during September they're going to find things a little bit tougher until they get caught up and until their brain starts to go, yes, we're doing school again. So if your child is heading to a very high level academic school and they're going to be pushed quite hard, then you might want to make sure that they're ready. But if they are enjoying their time in school and there's no pressures to do any particular exams very soon, then I wouldn't worry too much about making the summer holidays all about school. A little bit of English and math is really helpful, and you can do that without any books. You can do it while you're out and about. Depending on the age of your child, there are a range of different activities that you can do, and if you want to send me a message, I can send you some specific ideas for that age group. But it's really important that they also do lots of other things. to spend time with your family, spend time with your friends, and just throw in little nuggets of learning in between. A great alternative is to make some of your activities that you do educational. One of my favourite places to visit is the Science Museum in London, closely followed by the Natural History Museum. I'm a sucker for skeletons, so you could go to one of those for the day. But you might want to take a little disposable camera, or if they're using a phone, take some pictures, and then have a mini project. So here was a picture of a particular machine, and can you go and find out what that machine was used for? What sort of person would have worked with it? Maybe how long that type of machine has been in existence, or when it was first manufactured, or who was the inventor of that machine. So you could do a little mini project. Lots of families will have gone on holiday or be going on holiday very soon. So you could have a holiday project. Depending on where you are going, that's the basis for your project. So if you happen to be going to Cornwall for a family trip and you're going to be doing lots of water sports, then you might set them to research what beaches have water sports available. That's a skill that as adults we need to be able to do so that we can plan our trips, we can plan our events, and why not instill it in your children at this stage as well. You could also then say, well, there's a water sports centre, you want to do sailing every day, how much is that going to cost? So you've got a little bit of maths in there to add things up, and you've also got a little bit more awareness about the fact that activities cost things and that things have to be budgeted for. So one of the families that I work with, they were going away on 2 holidays, and they set their teenager a budget for activities that they wanted to do by themselves. And they said, right, this is how much money you have got, and you have so many days available to you to go and do these things by yourself in a resort, not just in a random country by themselves. And it was up to the teenager to then decide which activities they really wanted to do and which of them they could afford to do together. And when they came back from their holiday, we wrote an English report about all the different things that they had done and how worthwhile or not they thought they were. So that was really interesting, and it's very relevant to what the family were doing that summer. So if you're going on holiday, you might want them to find out where in the world that place is. Maybe something about the size of its population, or you might want to know about the type of animals that live there, and you could do an animal habitat project. There are loads of different ideas that you could use linked to a destination that you're going to. So that's a great thing to try as well. Okay, so summer slump can be avoided if you want to. There are lots of different ways to do it. If you're not that concerned, you think your child is going to be fine, that's absolutely fine too. But if you think that actually it's going to be quite a problem, then now is the time to start doing something about it when you've still got a few weeks before school. Alright. Please let me know if you have any questions about this. Send me a message privately, or you can post on the video, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Alright, thanks very much. Bye.